Hey, and welcome to the live stream. Moving to Mexico is about to get a lot more difficult. And today on the stream with me, I have an immigration expert here in Querétaro. And this is what he does for a living. He processes immigration. He's working with immigration all day long, every day, and this is his business. So, welcome, Mario. Let's just get right into it. Um, so a question I commonly get is, if I have residency in Mexico, do I have to live in Mexico?
Okay, I mean, first of all, thanks for having me, Jordan. It's a pleasure to be here in your and your live stream. Um, yeah, I mean, to get right into the topic, no, you don't need to be living in Mexico. Actually, you could just get residency and go back to, I mean, wherever you're from, and just that the residency, what it does is that makes it easier to come in and come out. So there's not like an actual requirement for you to be living here, and that makes it like so much easier for people that are just kind of in the middle of thinking of making a move to Mexico.
Yeah, yeah, it's basically like your legal access to Mexico, and you can come in here whenever you want. By the way, if you have any questions regarding getting residency in Mexico, any like legal-ish questions regarding moving to Mexico, go ahead and leave them in the chat box below, and we'll be answering all sorts of questions today. The next question we have for you, Mario, is who should get residency? Who should get legal residency in Mexico?
Well, I mean, Mexico just is just willing to receive any people from all over the world. So, uh, taking into consideration that right now it's pretty easy to get residency compared to a lot of other countries, I think that to short answer is anybody who's looking to spend more time in Mexico, not just visiting for, I don't know, maybe once a year, but if they want to be coming more times a year, if you're used to vacationing in Cancun, or want to explore a little bit more of Mexico, and you don't want to have like a hard time in getting in or getting out, or even if you're actually thinking about coming and living in Mexico, getting a rental place, you're working remotely. If you're actually interested in coming, I suggest you do it now because things are getting a little bit more complicated each year. So for everybody who's thinking about doing it, you should get residency.
Yeah, I totally agree because every year it gets harder and harder to qualify. And this is how it is all around the world, really. Any residency program, pretty much no matter the country, the the easy ones keep getting more and more difficult to qualify. So if you see Mexico in your future, I think you should get residency now. And heck, even if you just like to visit Mexico, like let's say you like to come to Cancun every year, well, having residency can help you because, as Mario said, it gets you easier access into the country. But also, like, let's say you get hurt while you're in Cancun and you have to go to a hospital, your costs for the hospital treatment are going to be significantly lower than if you're there as a tourist. But now, Mario, let's talk about when the requirements are going to. No, before we talk about when the requirements are going to go up, let's talk about what the requirements are now. Like, let's say I'm coming from the US. How much income do I need to show, or how much savings do I need to show?
Well, first of all, depends if you're looking for a temporary or a permanent residency. Usually, permanent residencies are a little bit more for people that are already retired or soon to be retired, because the permanent residency is for people that can hold themselves for an indefinite period of time, which usually pension from retirement gives that to you. So if you're receiving a steady monthly income, you are qualifying directly to get residency. Now, the for temporary residency, which is like the lower income requirement, it's right now 2,500 US dollars. That's what's an average in the law because
And
it
that's a monthly
related.
income.
Yeah, it's for monthly income, first of all. there's two ways of applying. The first of all is for monthly income. If you have a steady job or a pension, you can apply for it, and you have to show proof that you are receiving 25 at least 2,500 US dollars, or I mean the equivalent in the currency of your country,
Mhm.
for the last 6 months. That depends entirely on the consulate, because some have high requirements or lower requirements, and also some of them ask for more bank statements, or more pay stubs than 6 months. They say that some they ask for might ask for 12 months of statements or even more, for you to prove that you have the resources to sustain your life here in Mexico.
And Mario, you mentioned that depending on the consulate, it could be less than that. Do you have an idea of like what is the lowest possible amount that someone could qualify with today if they went to the right consulate in the right city?
Right now, one of the lowest has been $1,850,
And what,
$1,850.
and do you know what
Uh,
consulate that is?
it's for McAllen.
McAllen, Texas. Okay.
However, there's not it, usually they go up every year, but
Mhm.
since each consulate has the faculty to put their own requirements, it is not guaranteed that if you come today, or it's you're gonna find the same I mean, you're gonna be asked for the same income requirement than they asked for 1 month or 2 months ago, or even the next month. So right now, the lowest that I've heard of is it's McAllen at this rate, but this may change. So I would highly recommend, for before you start any process, to get really informed, to plan, to do a strategy, to plan accordingly, and to don't rely on any like Facebook comments, any I mean information that might not be updated, that it's in the internet, because this may change like really quick.
And by the way, Mario, if someone wants to get informed from an expert, they can contact you, but how do they contact you? Because you process these immigrations all day long, every day. So you know a lot about this stuff.
Yeah, we do immigration all day. Where we have a team of experts in immigration. There's We have completed over 200 procedures this year, from all different types of procedures, not just economic solvency. There's a lot of ways of you to acquire residency. And you can contact me. I mean, I figure we can put some of my contact info, for phone number, my personal phone number, my personal email, and of course, you can find us at Facebook as Exo Consulting, or on our webpage exoimmigration.com, and we have I mean, all sources of connecting.
So is that EXO Consulting on Facebook?
Yes.
Okay, and then I'm going to put that in the chat, and then I'm also going to put your website in the chat. That is
So
exoimmigration.com.
yeah.
Okay, perfect. So let's say somebody wanted to go through the process with you to get immigration, to get like temporary residency. What's that going to cost them? Let's say they want your help from the very beginning, like filling out the form before they even go to the consulate, and like helping them through the whole process. What is that going to cost them?
For there's different fees that you have to cover. I mean, we have a fixed fee, and there's also the fees to cover for the INM. Well, the INM is the immigration, the National Institute for Immigration here in Mexico. And also, depending on the process, you might have to pay an extra fee for the consulate. So overall, the process with us costs around 600 US. That includes all fees, and of course, depending on the process, it might be a little less or a little bit more, but it is just around that for a standard process.
Okay, cool. And about approximately half of that is the government fee, correct?
Yeah, yeah, approximately. Right now, the government fee for a 1 year temporary residency is 4,739 pesos. This
Mhm.
goes up every year. So depending on when you want to start, it might go up or not down, right? But it might go
Yeah.
up a little bit.
Okay. We have a super chat here, a question that someone asked. Thanks for bringing this guest on. Is there an annual fee to maintain residency? I'm planning on retiring in 20 years to Mexico. So this is someone who's planning to come to Mexico a long time from now to retire, and he's worried about if he gets the residency today, does he have to pay a fee every year to keep it?
That's a great question because that's the perfect example of what we were talking about at the beginning. If you have plans to retire in Mexico in 20 years, 10 years, 30 years, right now it's the best moment to start. There's no actual fee to maintain residency, but if you acquire right now a temporary residency, you have to be renewing it every year, but it has to be just renewed for 4 years. And after you end the fourth year, you can go straight to permanent resident. And after you go to permanent residence, you don't have to be renewing anymore. So that's the great thing about residency here in Mexico. That
But if he can qualify for permanent residency today, well then, no
yeah, I
fees
mean,
ever.
usually if someone is looking for retirement in 20 years, I'm guessing that maybe he's a little bit younger. He's thinking about way ahead. So if you qualify and you can get a permanent residency, well, I mean, way better because you skip all the renewals, you skip all the increases in the costs, and there's no actual fee for maintaining residency. Just don't lose it.
Okay, here's another super chat. I looked everywhere and I can't get a hold of McAllen. So talking about getting in touch with the consulate at McAllen, Texas. Does anyone know how much per month it is for dependents? So let's say she has two kids. Does she have to show more income?
Yes, yes. If you are applying like in a as a family, usually the average requirement is around 900 US dollars extra per person. I mean that you want attached to your residency. For McAllen, it's that amount. It was a little bit more, a little bit less. I could say that it is most likely to be $900. But regarding how can you get a hold of McAllen, there's emails in their webpage, and there's phone numbers in the webpage where you can call or send an email to, and you can easily get attended. But you have to insist a little bit because they are not as available as you might think.
And do you book a consulate appointments for people? Is that one of the services you provide?
Yes, yes. If you decide to start a process with us, we help you to, to sort this kind of problems by getting in touch with the consulate. We have one of the, we already tested all the emails and know which ones are the ones that works. So yeah, we set an appointment for you. We get you the updated requirements and we help you gather all the file.
Okay, cool. Uh, James has a question here. He says he owns a house in Tulum, Quintana Roo. What would he need to get residency? Because I know that's another way to qualify. If you own property in Mexico of a certain value, you can qualify for temporary residency.
Yes, yes, that is correct. The requirement is, the value of the property, it's kind of high. It's almost 7 million pesos. So if you own a property of around, at least 7 million pesos, then you
350,000 US dollars.
250,000 US dollars, you could apply for a temporary residency. You cannot apply for a permanent residency through this way. You can just apply for a temporary residency, but it is the same process. You have to go through the consulate. You have to request an appointment for an interview, and you have to bring all the papers related to your property. So, and also, I mean, you have to have the request form and copies of your passport and all the other things. But the main thing is to have a copy, I mean, the original of and copy of your property deed.
And also, I would like to add to this, if someone has a home in Mexico that's worth at least 350,000 US dollars, there's a good chance that they have enough in savings and investments and retirement accounts to qualify for permanent residency, let alone temporary. You can only get temporary residency by owning property in Mexico. But do you know what the savings requirement is for permanent residency right now?
As of today, it's around 170,000 US dollars for
Okay.
the last 12 months. You have to show bank statements,
Hmm.
proof of investments, money market, or some kind of retirement fund, 401k, or something like that.
Hmm.
So you can apply for a permanent residency through this scenario.
All right. Um, and Maggie with a $10 super chat, thank you very much. And thanks for being a channel member. She asked, can you cover the requirements for permanent residency? Thank you for this video. So yeah, we were just talking about that. So you talked about the requirements for savings. Can you talk about the requirements if you're qualifying based on monthly income?
If you're trying to qualify based in through monthly income, it is 4,300 US dollars around it. There's some countries that ask for a little bit less, like 3,800, or there's some that ask for a little bit more, like 4,500.
Okay.
So it is around that amount, and it has to be also in through the last 6 to 12 months.
Okay.
And it is really important to mention that most consulates ask you to be fully retired to grant a permanent residency.
Uh, Yeah. And now that we're on the topic of permanent residency, can you talk about when these requirements are increasing and how much they're going up?
Historically, the depends on the minimum wage, because all the requirements are calculated on based on the minimum wage here in Mexico. So right now, minimum wage is around 172 pesos, and it is times that the requirement for either temporary or permanent. For example, for temporary, it is 300 times the minimum wage. So
In
give or
monthly
take,
income?
a monthly income, and that's how it's calculated. So depending on how much it increases or how much I mean, could decrease, it could vary. And the minimum wage goes up depending on inflation, depending on economic and political like policies. And so last time it increased, the requirements increased as around a 7.5%, which is pretty much. And I mean that's for the fees for immigration. For the requirements to apply, it went up quite high, actually, like
15 or 20%, I think.
yeah, like 20%.
Yeah. And do you know how much it's going up this year?
I do not know how much it could go up, because that's, I mean, that has to do with a lot of factors, and it is not disclosed until the first I mean the last week of the year. So
Okay.
we could give you a little bit of a better update on the last weeks of the year.
Okay.
However, it always goes up in kind of the same ratio. So you should expect for a big increase also this year.
So, like for temporary residency, you might be expecting a 15% increase, maybe something like that. So maybe instead of 2,500 a month, they want 2,500 plus another 15%. If I can do the math in my head, that's adding like another 300 or $350 to it. So maybe it's 28 or 2,900.
Yes, that's correct. I mean, 2,900 is pretty. Um, uh, uh, coherent with everything that's been going on. And I've heard
Okay.
that some consulates are already asking for around 3,000 US dollars for a monthly income for a
Oh,
permanent, a temporary residency.
damn. You know, when I first like I really push this at the end of every year for people like, hey, if you want to get residency in Mexico, get it now because it's going to go up a lot, and it happens every single year. When I first came to Mexico about 5 years ago, going to Laredo, Texas, going to that consulate, you could get temporary residency showing $1,000 in monthly income.
Wow.
And
Yes. Yeah. Now that I look back, yes, it has been going up crazy.
yeah, so what's the deadline? Like, when does it go up again?
I mean, it's every year.
Is that January 1st though?
Yes, yes, because it is like published with like this whole fiscal like tax laws, and
Hmm.
so it is included in the package of every government fees. So
Yeah.
that's so everything. I mean, they threw it out there at the beginning of the year, so all the government institution can update their prices.
And that's pretty typical in Mexico for that to happen, both in government and in private businesses. Like a lot of employees will get their raises in January. A lot of businesses will increase their prices in January. So you see that throughout the whole Mexican economy.
Yeah, you
Uh,
have to be adapted.
Rosalinda, thanks for the $2 super chat. I don't see a comment here, but I'll look for another one from you. Oh, here's a comment from Rosalinda. Dual citizenship from my or dual citizenship. My father Mexican, my mother's American. I've lived there 30 years and have documents. I'm not exactly sure what the question is, but let's say someone's a dual citizen and they've been living in the United States their whole life. What's the process like for them coming to or what's the process like for them getting Mexican identification cards or like a Mexican passport or something like that?
Yeah, I think I know what she's talking about. I mean, we have had a lot of people in that same situation that has Mexican parents and wants to get like Mexican papers. Depending on on the stage that you're starting, maybe you don't have any type of paper. So let's start with that.
Okay.
Um, you have to get registered first. The good news is that if you have one or two of your parents that are Mexican, you are already a Mexican, I mean, a Mexican citizen by law. So they cannot take that from you just like that. Now, how can you get your Mexican papers? It is just to get you registered as it is called like a registration of birth abroad. So you come to Mexico to the civil register and get I mean some papers, get your birth certificate that must be apostilled and translated, and and you have to get that like how do you say like yeah, like registered in the offices here in Mexico so they can issue a Mexican birth certificate for you. And that way, I mean, you will get just it's pretty similar of what you get if you were born here. And with that, you can apply for passport, you can apply for a Mexican ID and a court number and all of that.
So like Rosalinda, she already has her documents. What steps does she take to come and get like some kind of Mexico identification?
For her, she needs to bring, in this case, for her father's a Mexican birth certificate, to bring it to Mexico, and bring also her birth certificate that I mean, just to kind of match everything up. That's like, okay, this is my father, he's Mexican. In my birth certificate, this is his name, and this is my name. So everything just kind of connects, and so just bring all of that to Mexico. Go to the civil register office. That's I mean, that's that better suits you depending on where you live or where you be living, and with that you can get registered. Other than that, it's just forms that you need to fill out, payments that you need to do, but that those are the main requirements, and that those are the important things that you need to bring to in order to get your Mexican papers.
Okay. We have a comment from John. Thanks for the super chat. I used Exo Consulting to get my temporary residency in Cancun. Mario did a great job helping me finish, even when things happened outside of his control. Cool. So we have a positive experience
Oh.
with you already. And by the way, I didn't share this with everyone, but I've used Mario's services as well, and I got great service from him as well. And I've recommended him in a past video. But
Oh, great.
so he got his temporary residency in Cancun. So you don't just work in Querétaro.
No, since the process it's federal. I mean, you could do the rules apply for every state in the country. I mean, we can do it remotely from everywhere. So if you're planning to go to Puebla, to Sinaloa, to Sonora, I mean any other to Oaxaca, to any state in the country, we can help you. There's some cities that we can do it in person, which is we work in person in Querétaro, in San Miguel de Allende, in Mexico City, and Cancun. And we have done procedures in Guadalajara and Nayarit and many other places. But yeah, we can help you anywhere.
Okay, cool. Robert Mendoza asked, can I get dual citizenship living in Mexico but working remotely for a US company? I'd like to start off by answering this, that citizenship is different than residency. So getting legal residency in Mexico is a whole lot easier for a foreigner like myself than getting citizenship. And citizenship is a much more thorough process. But with regarding working remotely for a U.S. company, do you have any knowledge about the legalities of working remote, like being in Mexico, working remotely for a U.S. company, like on a tourist visa or on a as a temporary or permanent resident?
Yeah, one thing to first thing to mention is that a lot of people mistakes. I mean, working here in Mexico remotely with working uh, within Mexico. I mean, if you are a digital nomad or so a person that has a work a job that allows them to be in any part of the world and and do the work online or over the phone or something like that, that's not considered to be working in Mexico. I mean, you don't need an actual work permit to do that. You can just come and keep working in the US and just be living in Mexico. So,
Does Mexico immigration, does INM want you to have residency in that case if you're like spending a lot of time here and working remotely?
working remotely doesn't have anything to do with it. If you spend a
Okay.
lot of time here, like we said, you should get residency because that, I mean, would make life easier for you. And Mexican immigration does want you to be have a regular legal status here in Mexico. That's why
Mhm.
last year it was a little bit more complicated to get like 6 months of tourist visas, and they just were granting like 2 days or 1 week of tourist visa because they want you to be, if you're living here, if you're visiting here, they want you to become a resident.
They've
But
relaxed on that policy, haven't they? Like now they're giving 180 days to more people. Is that right?
yeah. Now it's a little bit more easy. They kind of chilled a little bit because it was crazy. They were just like kind of being really strict about it. But
Yeah.
now
Like I
it's better.
heard, sorry, I heard of a whole flight of people flying to Cancun, an entire airplane full. They gave 7 days to everybody, even the ones who had hotel reservations for longer than 7 days. But thankfully, that whole like that phase or whatever is
Right.
past, and that's not happening now. We have some more super chats here. Jimmy Davis with a $5 super chat asked, do you guys help with bringing electronics? I work from home, which requires a ton of things like computer screens and extra computers. Do you know anything about like customs and those requirements when coming to Mexico?
Um, there's for I mean our main business is immigration and residency wise. But we also have other two areas. One is real estate, and one is a general assistance part where we can assist with every little things or big things that people would like to do when coming to Mexico. So in this case, we work with moving companies that enables you to go through customs with a little bit an easier time. So yeah, we can help you with that. Through one of our alliances, because our line of work is to be resourceful and to help you to get like quality services at affordable price and reliable people.
And regarding like your other services, you were also telling me before this stream, well, like last time we talked, that your business actually provides a lot of services. Like for example, if someone's here in Querétaro and they need help doing a bunch of things that they don't know how to do, things like that, well, then you guys provide that kind of service as well.
Yeah. After you get residency, there's a ton of things that you would have. You would need to do and you would want to do here in Mexico, and just the culture barrier and the language barrier. Makes it really complicated for people to complete simpler or more complicated tasks. So yeah, what we do is we send one person of our team to join you to complete the task. He just stands with you at a line in the bank. He just stands with you at a store to help you to get everything that you want.
And he's going to
Just
know both English and Spanish.
yeah, completely
Yeah.
bilingual, and also if by some reason and something doesn't happen as you want, we could give you a second option or look for options for you. So you don't you don't get like stranded just in the middle of Mexican procedures.
Okay. Jenny has a question here. She's a temporary resident, and she says, I know I can't work for a Mexican company, but can I have my own business like dog sitting or English lessons, something like that, something simple?
Yeah, of course. It is pretty common for people to want to start a little business here, and it is possible. Once you are a temporary resident, you just have to get registered like as a contributor. As a, you can
Get your
usually get a tax
RFC,
your
your
RFC,
tax
which is
ID
your
number.
tax ID number,
Mhm.
and with that you can get all types of licenses and registrations for a business. You have to get permissions from the municipality of where you live. Depending if you're gonna get like, you're gonna have a big store or just a small shop, something like that. That makes the difference between if you need just a couple of things or a ton of things. But if you're gonna have like a physical location, yes, you will need a. You can do it to as a temporary resident.
Okay. And we have a $20 super chat, the biggest one of the night so far. My kids and I get Social Security checks monthly. I'm the payee. They all go to my bank account. So she's getting checks from the US government and they're going to her US bank account. Is it possible a consulate may let me use all four checks for my own temporary residency and get the kids later in Mexico?
Yeah, it is possible. That's a great strategy, because sometimes to go through the consulate for all of you is a little bit more complicated because of the requirements that they might have and the criteria to grant visas. So if you are already having enough monthly income that you can prove, so you can just get through the consulate easily, After you get a temporary residency, you can come to Mexico and complete their residencies later based on family unit. You just need to have all their birth certificates and original, apostilled, and translated for it to apply. And all the names have to match everything. As long as you have all your paperwork in order, yes, you can do that.
And and since all of those checks are going into your bank account monthly, most consulates are going to accept all of that as your monthly income.
Depending on the consulate, because
Okay.
as you are it has like this like cross check
Yeah.
on your benefit, your social security benefits with your bank statements. So you have to say like how much are you actually getting for you and how are you using it. So if you have your since they are your kids, yes, most consulates would allow it because it is part of your like family wealth.
Uh-huh.
If you other than if you get like from your husband or someone that's I mean not underage, then they would like separate it and say like no, how much it is for you and how much is for them.
Okay.
You should be able to use the money that you have.
Okay. Um, Wally asks, what's the current savings requirement for residency? We already covered the savings requirement for permanent residency, and that's going to be like 170,000 or somewhere around there. But what is the savings requirement for temporary residency in 2022?
Currently, it is 43,000 US dollars, give or take. Some consulates might ask for more, some are for less, but right now it's around 43,000 US dollars.
Okay. And that's going to go up again at the beginning of the year. So let's say you've had $45,000 in savings and investments in your account over the past 12 months. And like your minimum balance has been at least that for at least 12 months. Try to apply for residency now before 2023 because they're going to go up again and you might
Yeah,
not qualify come January.
yeah, and it is pretty packed in the consulates right now. Um, some of them are just still have appointments, but some of them are all booked for the year. So you should move fast because the more time it goes by, the
Mhm.
less possibilities you have to obtain an appointment to process your visa.
And just in case anyone wasn't on earlier, if they want to contact you to help them get started, what's your website?
My website is exoimmigration.com, Facebook page EXO Consulting,
Okay,
and
cool.
yeah,
I just posted that in the chat again so people can see that in the live chat who are on right now. And
great.
then they'll find all your email, your phone number, all that good stuff probably.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. So I would like to keep this to about 45 minutes today. So we have about 7 more minutes. But I'm just gonna like take a look at my questions here that I got from YouTube and Facebook earlier to make sure we answered all of them. Here's one. Uh, would a what's it like when someone is applying for residency and they have a criminal record? Are they automatically going to be rejected? Like, let's say they're from the U.S. and they have a criminal record in the U.S.
It is not automatic. It is up to the discretion of the authority. Yes, you can. I mean, if you're like a top wanted, like a actually like on the list of I mean, as a big criminal, yes, it would be automatic if you're wanted. But if you just have like a small criminal record, I mean, if you have like some type of a record for speeding tickets or something like minor, no,
Yeah,
it won't affect your residency.
but if you went to prison for like rape or murder, you're probably not getting residency. But maybe if you went to prison for like having marijuana, like
Yeah.
maybe
No, I
yes.
have. Yeah, I've had some clients that were in the same situation and didn't have any trouble with minor incidents. But if you have like a big criminal record, yes, they can do it. They are allowed to deny it, and they have the resources to do it to look for it. But it is not automatic. It is not like not like immediately linked to the U.S. Government systems.
Okay. Another question. Patty from Facebook says, I am due in January to renew my temporary residency for the second year. Is it possible to just apply for permanent and get that instead of temporary? So she has temporary residency already. When it comes time to renew, is it possible to get permanent residency?
No, it's not as simple. I mean, what she's asking is there's two types of procedure. One is the renewal, and the other one is the change of status. So you can only ask for a change of status once you are a temporary residency for three main reasons. One is after you completed the 4 years and you change directly to permanent. Two, if you have a Mexican born children, then you can ask for a change of status. And three, this is one of the less known. It is that you can apply for a change to permanent before the 4 years if you start receiving or collecting benefits for Social Security and you have a pension that's enough to cover the requirements for permanent. Those are the only three options. Other than that, you cannot just go for permanent just like that.
Here's a question. Dave from YouTube asks, I have a girlfriend that's a Mexican citizen and she lives in Guadalajara. What are my first steps to do to become a resident of Mexico? And I'm guessing that would let me come and go in and out of Mexico anytime with no restrictions.
First, yeah, it will allow you to come and go in and out, no restrictions. Um, you can, I mean, for to start, I mean, related to your girlfriend, I mean, you would have to get married because just because you have a girlfriend, it doesn't give you the enough to apply for a residency. You have to get actually legally married for you to be able to apply for residency through your family unit. And
Yeah,
after that, it's just a simple process of changing your status from tourist to temporary residency. The great thing about this is that you don't have to wait the 4 years, the 5 years until you get to permanent. If you stay married with her, you can just wait for 2 years, and at the end of 2 years, you're gonna go straight for permanent.
yeah. Or he could apply for residency in other ways, uh,
Yeah,
like he could still qualify based on the same uh, financial requirements. And to do this, you're first going to make an appointment at a consulate in your home country. So if you're in the US, you would do it at a US Mexican consulate. Then you would go there, you set an appointment, you go there with all your documents, you get approved, and then you come to Mexico. And then what's the steps once he gets to Mexico with an approved
well,
visa?
once you got an approved visa and you come to Mexico to complete the second part of it, it depends on the state for the times of processing. So I would highly suggest, I mean, recommend for you to contact your professional. If you decide to do it with us, great, and please contact us prior. I mean, at least a month prior to your coming to Mexico, so we can plan accordingly. Because some consulate, I mean, some states, some offices of the INM can take walk-ins. Most of them have appointment systems, manual appointment systems where you have to line up and get an appointment, and most of them are just 1 month far ahead. So I would suggest for you to do it. And I mean, just go to the set an appointment, complete all the paperwork, request forms, and all, and go to the appointment, and you are most likely to get your residency card on that same day.
Okay. And I would like to bring up a third option for this guy who has a Mexican girlfriend, and that would be if they have a child together. What happens if they have a child together?
I mean, that would be great if you have a child together, and the child. I mean, it would be great that he's born in Mexican soil, so that way he could the child could get a Mexican certificate right away, birth certificate, and then he can apply for a permanent residency right away because he's a father of a Mexican child.
Yeah, like if you have a kid who's born on Mexican soil, that kid is automatically a Mexican citizen. And then that grants you the ability to get permanent residency just by having a Mexican child. And another like reason you might want to have your child in Mexico if you were going to have a child is because it's going to be a heck of a lot cheaper to have a baby here at at a private hospital here than in the US. I mean, even if you have insurance in the US, just like your 10% or 20% that you have to pay is going to be in the thousands of dollars. Whereas I was in a hospital a few months ago here, and I saw that they had a special like that included all of your stuff for giving birth to a child, and it was like 800 US dollars. So uh, sure, there might be some fees on top of that, but it's not going to be crazy. So maybe max you're walking out of there with a bill of $1,500, $2,000 in Mexico, whereas even if you have insurance in the US, it's going to be more expensive than that. So you could save some money at the same time that you qualify for permanent residency.
Yeah, you're right.
Lulu, thanks for the super chat. I'll look for another comment from you here. I don't see one. Um, but okay, let me just go back to the questions here, make sure we have everything answered that I wanted to get to. Well, let's just wrap this up with basically you saying what your company is, what you guys do, how much you would charge if someone wanted to get residency, how they can contact you, things like that.
Okay, great. I graduated college law school here in Querétaro. I was born and raised here. I started doing immigration around 6 years ago, and around I mean, just a couple of years ago, I started this office, Exo Consulting, and we started providing more and more services for expats that want to come and live here and stay on a more permanent basis, and to complete I mean, everything that they would need to do here. So we have a whole team of people prepared to work in three areas. One is immigration. The other thing is real estate. For real estate, we do all types of services regarding closings, rentals, purchases. If you want to invest in property, if you want to build a house, if you want to start a business, and for that you need to, I don't know, to build any type of real estate project. We can help you with licenses, permits. We can help you. We work with alliances with highly recommended and reliable realtors and construction companies. So we can help you to not only look for a house, but also build a house that you like. And if you find a house that you like, we can help you to make sure that all the process is done and completed successfully, and that they don't like to. I mean, you don't get into any scams or any frauds. We also do all the general assistance, which includes all the starting of registration of companies, of new businesses. We do all the assistance in terms of getting an RFC, opening bank accounts, and anything that you might like actually consider doing it here.
I'm laughing because it's literally everything you might need if you're planning on moving to Mexico. So it's kind of like a one-stop shop for everything. So yeah, how can they contact you if they're interested in either your immigration services or any of the other services you provide?
You can there's email contacts in our webpage, info@exoimmigration.com. My email is mario@exoimmigration.com, and also there's my phone number that I mean I would gladly ask you to share in the chat. And and also, I mean, we have a team of people that are constantly providing information in Facebook groups. I mean, just any of this means can get you to us.
Excellent. Well, thank you for joining us, Mario. We'll have you on again before long to maybe dive in a little deeper to various topics. And thanks everyone for joining the live stream. If you have any other questions, leave them in the comments below, and we'll try to get to them in a future stream. But until then, we'll see you next time.